We're on Chapter 3, Section 2. It's Learning Plan 2-2, the slope of a line. The first thing we're going to do is find the slope if there are 2 points, find the slope if there is an equation, graph a line if we have a slope and a point, and then use slopes to determine parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And then, interestingly enough, slope is another name for average rate of change. Page 148 says that the slope of a line is the change in x over the change in y. The Greek letter D for delta is also known as change. So we talk about the rise over the run, or x2 minus x1 under y2 minus y1. And that's how we do slope. Now, where do we use slope? Well, one of the places that we use slope is they talk about a grade as being a 10% grade, or a stair slope as being a 7-9 run, or the slope of the slope or pitch of a roof. They never do 1 to 3. It's always something over 12. So you might have a 3/12 pitch, or a 4/12 pitch, or a 12/12 pitch, something like that. But the denominator is always 12 when you're talking about roofs. So, if we're given 2 points on the line, we should be able to find the slope. Let's see how to do that. We said the slope, and we're going to use the letter M. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. They just always use the letter M for slope. Slope is the change in y over the change in x, or delta y over delta x. And notice x1 and x2 can't be the same thing. In other words, you can't have a vertical line, because a vertical line has no slope. Not zero slope, but no slope. So, as I said before, the Greek letter delta, actually that's uppercase letter delta, lowercase letter delta is that, which in physics we use for density. Here's our 2 lines. Now I always considered the first one x1, y1, and the second one x2, y2. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to take -5 minus 9 over 3 minus -6. Now notice I do this way, so I have to do this way too. Okay, I can't switch them around. And we get -14 over 9, and so our slope is -14/9. Yeah, what I just said about this same order is important. So you do this one. Okay, so it's going to be 5 minus -6 over -3 minus 2. 5 minus -6 is 11. 3 minus 2 is -3 minus 2 is -5. So our M is -11/5. Okay, now you have to say whether it rises or falls when you get done. I'll give you some time. Press pause while you wait to do it. Okay, so it's -6 minus -3 over -1 minus 6. -6 minus -3 is the same as -6 plus 3, which is -3, over -7, which is M is positive 3/7, and it is rising. Okay, sometimes we can do the example the other way. You notice last time we did this point minus this point, so this time we're going to do 9 minus -5 over -6 minus 3. And we get 14, because this is minus negative is the same as plus, over negative 9, which is still negative 14/9. It doesn't matter which order you do them, because you're still going to get the right answer. The important thing is make sure you always go from the second to the first, or from the first to the second. Now, we can also find the slope just by looking at the equation. What's the slope of this line? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. The way that the book talks about is to use the intercepts. 0, 0. So if x is 0, y is negative 3. If y is 0, x is positive 4. Okay, so we do y2 minus y1, which is negative 3, over x2 minus x1, which is positive 4. So our slope is negative 3/4. I gotta make sure I got that right. No, positive 3/4, because it's 0 minus negative. It's 0 minus negative 3, so it's positive 3/4. The reason why I knew I was wrong is that the other way that you can get the slope, if the equation is in the standard form, the slope is the x coefficient, which we call letter A, over the y coefficient, which we call letter B, and then change the sign. So if you had 4x minus y equals negative 8, the slope would be 4, the x coefficient, over 1, and then change the sign. So it's going to be positive 4. You do this one, and then when you're ready, press play. So I think the easiest way to do this one is to just write the x coefficient over the y coefficient, and we change the sign. The other way is the way the book taught you how to do it. 0, 0. If x is 0, y is negative 3. If y is 0, x is positive 7. 0 minus negative 3 is 3. 7 minus 0 is 7. So you still get the same answer. Now it says not only should you find the slope, but you should also sketch the graph. So in this case, the slope is negative, because we had to change the sign, this is positive, so we're going to write negative 2/5. Okay? And then if you graph intercepts, if x is 0, y is 19/5. If y is 0, x is 19/2. Okay, so over 0, 19/5 is almost 4. A little bit less than 4. 19/2 is a little bit less than 10. So our line will look something like that. Now, sometimes we have a horizontal or a vertical line. Y plus 3 is 0. How do you want to graph that? I guess I don't care. Y is negative 3, so we're going to put a dot here along the y-axis at negative 3, and it's going to be a horizontal line. How do we find the slope there? Well, we need 2 points, x, y. If x is 1, y is negative 3. And if x is 0, y is negative 3. Negative 3 minus negative 3 is 0. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So the slope is 0 over negative 1, which is 0. So a horizontal line has a slope 0. Here's two to give practice on, and when you're ready, I'll show you how I did it. All right, we solved the first one for y. Y is 6, so we're going to put a dot up here at 6, horizontal line. Okay, the second one, x is 4, so we're going to put a vertical dot over here. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. Now I'm going to talk about why that is that it's undefined. As you get steeper and steeper in slope, okay, here's a slope of 1, here's a slope of 2, here's a slope of 5, here's a slope of 10. You can see that as you're getting steeper and steeper, your number, your slope number, is getting bigger and bigger. So if you're going straight up and down, your slope is infinity, and that's why it's undefined, because it's infinity and beyond. You do this one, and when you're ready, I'll show you how I did it. Okay, it's a vertical line. All vertical lines have an undefined slope, and so we would say the correct answer is B, undefined. X is -6. Here's -6. It's a vertical line. M is undefined. All right, how about this one? Okay, slope. Now, y equals -2. That's why people would think that would be true. I have no idea why people would think B is true. But the correct answer for a horizontal line is the slope is 0. So a horizontal line, an equation in which y equals something, intersects the y-axis at that point. So whenever y equals something, you have a horizontal line and has a slope of 0. If you have the equation x equals something, it's a vertical line and it has an undefined slope. All right, another one where we have to find the slope from the equation, just like we were doing before. I don't know why this one is different than the other ones, but we would write m equals negative, because you have to change the sign, 3/4, or we can do it the book's way, x, y, 0, 0. If x is 0, y is 9/4, and if y is 0, x is 3. So our slope is 0 minus 9/4, which is -9/4, over 3. -9/4 divided by 3 is the same as 9/4 times 1/3. Cancel, you get -3/4. Don't you see that it's much easier to do it just by looking at the equation if it's in the standard form? You find the slope of this line. All right, so it's going to be 5/4. Remember, we have to change the sign here. Or if we did it the other way, x, y, 0, 0. If x is 0, y is -7/4. If y is 0, x is 7/5. So our slope is negative 0 minus -7/4 over 7/5 minus 0, which is 7/4 over 7/5. Multiply by 5/7, they cancel, and you get 5/4. Find the slope and graph the equation. Okay, so the slope is 3/4. graph the equation x, y, 0, 0. So if x is 0, y is 1/2. And if y is 0, x is negative 2/3. Over 0, up 1/2. Back 2/3, up 0. It's kind of hard to see that that line is going to be something like this. Okay, so now if we have a slope and any point on the line, how are we going to graph that? Well, here we go. Graph the line passing through -3, -2. Here's -3, -2. And we're going to give it a slope of 1/2. Up 1, forward 2. Up 1, forward 2. Up 1, forward 2. Or it's going to go like that. So you do this one. Okay, so back 4, up 1. From there, go down 2, forward 3. Down 2, forward 3. Our line is going to be, oops, like that, kind of. How about this one? Over 0, up 4. From then, go up 1, forward 2. And our line is going to look like that. All right, so what is true about a orientation of the line? The way I remember it is if the truck is going uphill, it's a positive slope. If the truck is going downhill, it's a negative slope. Don't you like my trucks? So a vertical line, of course, would be undefined. A horizontal line has a slope of 0. Now, if two lines have the same slope, they are parallel. If they have negative reciprocals of each other, then they are perpendicular. A lot of times you're going to have lines that aren't parallel or perpendicular. In fact, almost every set of lines is going to be neither parallel nor perpendicular. Two non-vertical lines with the same slope are parallel. Two non-vertical lines that are parallel have the same slope. So these two are just the inverse of each other. All right, determine whether the line through these 2 points is parallel to the line through these 2 points. So let's do the first two. M equals 5 minus 2 over 3 minus -1. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 minus -1 is 4. Let's do these two over here. M equals 10 minus 7 over 8 minus 4. 10 minus 7 is 3. 8 minus 4 is 4. Since they have the same slopes, they are parallel. Okay. Determine whether these lines are parallel. Okay, so let's take the first 2 points. 8 minus 5 over 4 minus 2. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. Let's do the second points. M is -2 minus 0 over -1 minus 2. We have -2 over -3, which is 2/3. Those two are not equal. So they are not parallel. Interestingly enough, they're not perpendicular either. Okay? Because to be perpendicular, their product has to be -1. And that's why, for instance, if you had, let's do 2/3 times 3/2 negative, these two cancel, you got a negative sign, your answer is -1. So they're going to be negative reciprocals of each other. Okay? The first equation, the slope is negative 3/5. The second equation, the slope is positive 5/3. Notice they are negative reciprocals of each other, so they are indeed perpendicular. If you notice, I gave up on doing the calculating the slope the book's way. That just is way too much work. You can just inspect it, put the x coefficient over the y coefficient, and change the sign. X coefficient over the y coefficient, and change the sign. Next one. All right. The first equation, the slope is negative, because we have to change the sign, 1/2. The second equation, people might think they can do that really easily, but the first thing you have to do is rewrite it so that both letters are on the same side. Remember, this method only works if it's in the standard form, so you have to make sure you have your equation written in the standard form. Now the slope is positive, change the sign, 2/1, so we've got negative reciprocals of each other. They are indeed perpendicular. Let's try this one. Slope of the first one is positive, because we changed the sign, 4/1, which is 4. The second one, it's positive because we changed the sign, and 1/4. Now those two aren't equal, and they aren't negative reciprocals of each other. So for this one, we would say the answer is neither parallel nor perpendicular. Try this one. Okay. The first one, the slope is, and change the sign, so it'll be 2/1. The second one, change the sign, so it'll be negative 2/1. They aren't parallel, and they aren't perpendicular, so they are neither. All right, you do this one, and then when you're ready, press play. First one, the slope is, change the sign, 3/2. Second one, the slope is, change the sign, negative 2/3. Now they're negative reciprocals of each other, and when we multiply them, we get -1, so they are perpendicular. Last objective is getting the average rate of change. Average rate of change is the change in y over the change in x, which is the slope of the line. Now you run into that all the time, even though you may not realize it. For example, here's your salary, okay, and then it went up, and then it went down. So the slope is how much you were getting paid in dollars per hour. Let's look at some examples here. This one, you're going to put the hours per year, okay? Hours on the top, year on the bottom. Okay, so what's the change in hours divided by the change in years? Okay, well, we're going to take 980 minus 690. 980 minus 690 is, I know the number of years is 5. 990 minus 690 is 300, so it must be 290. 290 divided by 5, which is 59, something like that. M is 59 hours per year. In other words, the television watching time goes up 59 hours each year, according to this example. Okay, you try this one. It says 2002 is 828. At 2002. find the average rate of change from 2000 to 2002. So we've got 828 minus 690 is 138 over the change in X. 138 divided by 2 is 69. So if you notice, it's a little bit more because we had 59 hours per year. Now we've got 69 hours per year here. All right, you try this one. Now here it says car value in thousands, so you're going to have to add 3 zeros after each one of these. All right. So at 5 years, change in Y, it went from 10,000 here to 25,000 here over 5 minus 0. 10,000 minus 25,000 is negative 15,000. Divided by 5 is negative $3,000 per year. Notice this is years, this is dollars, so we've got dollars per year. Slope is always the Y over the X. Last one. Find the average rate of CDs sold. Okay, so we've got CDs per year. So the years are going to go on the bottom. The number of CDs are going to go on the top. Let's take 614.9 minus 942.5 over 2006 minus 2000. I'll do the bottom. That's 6. You do the top. And, oh man, I don't have my calculator, so I'm going to have to do it longhand. 16, 7, 2, 1, 2, 9 minus 6 is 3, 327.6 per 6. I don't know what that is, about 50 something. 54.6 million CDs per year. Okay. So we've got 1885 minus, did I get the negative sign right here? This should be negative 327.6 over 6, because this is minus here. This should have been negative here. So it's negative 54.6 million per year. Okay, minus 2838 over, I'll do the years, 2008 minus 2000 is 8 years. 2838 minus 1885, 953. So negative 953 divided by 8, which is a fraction, or a decimal, 100, let's do it that way. 100, negative 100, what would that be, about 19? Let's see, 93, 15, 73, 73 is 9, 119.1 about, $1 million per year. If you have any questions, oops, we got one more left. Forgot about this. Average rate of change in the calf's weight per day. Okay, so after day 40, change in y is pounds. We have to do pounds on top. So 700 minus 505 divided by 40 minus 1. 700 minus 505 is 195 divided by 39. 195 divided by 39 is about 5. So about 5 pounds per day.